Okay, hi everyone. I'm gonna give everyone another minute. Here we have some more people hopping in right now to get in, and then we will begin. I'm still looking at brands. I had a busy morning this morning, so I wasn't able to look at everything. So I'm still looking at brands. And when I started looking early this morning, a lot of people had not posted their brand statement or their marketing statement or their whatever you want to call it, your descriptive statement um, of your product. So I probably know that that's about people being sort of scared to do the work or not do the work, um, or thinking that they're going to get something wrong, or not sure they're exactly right on what they're posting. So I just want to urge you, if you're listening to this right now or you're watching the recording, that this is a judgment-free zone here, that we're building something and no one expects you to be perfect right off the bat. That it's a work in progress, right? And as I told you the story yesterday of my brand evolution, the reason I wanted you to hear that is because I didn't even come up with Adorable Bully till 2018. I got out of acting school in 1984. I started working a lot in the early 90s, and I started booking all of my TV in like 2004. So I had already booked a ton of TV by the time someone gave me Adorable Bully. So I just wanted you to hear that, because it's like you realize your brand as you go along. But remember what we talked about yesterday about how people aren't looking for an actor. They're looking for, the ballsy broad or the difficult guy that's a little cranky, right? They're not looking for an actor, they're looking for the character. So that's why it's important to put yourself in categories so people see you as that character. Because if you're just, in the olden days, we used to do these pictures that were like, this was your theatrical picture and this was your commercial picture, which was which was again like, an actor, right? And you want to try to not as much put yourself out there as an actor, but as a very specific person, right? So people can know what to do with you. So keep working on that. We sent out the brand document. It's on the website. If you didn't get it, actorsfasttrack.com, you can download the brand document, which is going to help you build your brand. Okay. All right. So for today's workshop challenge, we'd like to talk about your customers. So once you know what you're selling, then, or you kind of have an idea of what you're selling, then you need to identify who's going to buy it. Who are the people that you need to get your product in front of? Those people are casting directors, directors, producers, and writers. Now, some of you have extensive lists already that you've put together. Some of you have, in fact, CRMs filled with names. The CRM is a customer relation management software. You do not have to have a CRM. You can have a spreadsheet, but you need to be able to keep track of your customers somewhere, right? So you need to be able to keep track of your customers somewhere, because remember, as we talked about, it's not just one outreach to your customers, it's multiple outreaches. And you're going to forget when and what you did when you outreached if you don't keep track of it. So it's very important to keep a customer list and to track a customer list. This is something I learned very early on in my career. And that the list is the most important thing in your career. You're going to have a list of people that are your fans, your fan club, people that hire you over and over again, people that write plays for you, people that want to direct you in their movies. You're going to have a list that you build over a lifetime of a career. And it's important to keep that list up to date as much as possible and to keep it accurate with the last communication you had with that customer. So if you do not have a list at all, your homework is to start a list immediately and write down 5 casting directors, 5 producers, 5 directors, and 5 writers that you think you could sell your product to. If you already have a list and you already have a list of your customers, then you might want to think about adding some names. Maybe it's time to add some names.
Oh, that'd be great.
Maybe you haven't added some names in a while to your customer list, so go add some. If you already have a list of customers and it's not organized, then I'd like you to set a date and a time to do that, to get it organized. Or maybe you've been meaning to move your list from a written list in a notebook where you keep notes to a CRM. And so if you are, if you want to do that, then you should start that process of moving it. You want to have it somewhere. The things that are important about your list are as much information you can get on them, like their address, their phone number, and their email. What and when was the last time you reached out to them? When was the last time and what did you send them when you reached out? And a reminder to send out something again, right? Those are the things that are important in keeping up with our list. So, yeah, there's a thing called Performer Track. Absolutely, you can use that. Airtable is excellent. There's another one called Less Annoying CRM. There's a lot of them out there, right? And it really just is what works for you, right? To keep track. Or you can just keep it in a spreadsheet or an Excel spreadsheet, right? You can keep it like in that if that works for you, to keep your list. So when I first started my business, I wrote all of my people on index cards, right? Because we didn't have computers when I started my business. So I would write all the notes on the index card. And if I had notes that filled the front and the back, I would staple the index card. Some things that I became now, I still have those index cards, by the way. I still have them. And the thing that became apparent to me early on I didn't write the year down. So, because I didn't think that nearly, 40 years later, I would be teaching this. So that was like something that really made a difference. But let me tell you a little story about why you want to keep a list. So I always had a list and I kept my list. That was something I did very early on in my acting career. Was I started writing down everyone I met and how I met them, right? It's something I did very early on. So when I moved to Los Angeles after being in my acting career for almost 20 years, there was a casting director that kept calling me in for TV shows. And every time I'd go into her office, she'd be like, "Oh, Valerie, it's so good to see you." Like she knew me. And so, I would just be like, "Yeah, you too," because I had no idea. Right. So then I went home one day and I got those index cards out and I started looking through them. And I realized that 15, 16, 17 years before that, she had been a casting director in New York and she had cast theater and she had brought me in a lot. Now, she remembered me, but I didn't remember her. And then I was able to read all of the notes that I had about her. So then the next time I went in, you know, I was like, it's so good to see you. Oh my gosh, remember that time I auditioned for blah, blah, blah. And she was like, yeah, that was such a, yeah, you know, and I was able to continue on the conversation and build the relationship from there. People hire people they know. So when you begin to reach out to these people, you need to understand that you're building a relationship with them. Okay. So that's really what today is about, is you identifying who are your customers. And again, if you've never done this before, today's the day to start. And you can just write down 5 names, or if you've been in this business for a while but you've never really kept a list, then go back and look at all the people that hired you previously and write them on a list, right? And I would recommend you separate it between casting directors, producers, and writers. And then miscellaneous, because, you know, we all have like friends of the family, or maybe you have an acting teacher that's recommended you for a lot of jobs or something to that effect. So you consider him an intermediary between you and the customers. And so write their name down as under miscellaneous, right? And then you can write down like every person that person has introduced you to, right? And if they've introduced you to a lot of people, I hope you've sent them some kind of thank you gift. And if you haven't, please do that. You know, if someone is doing something to help you with your acting career and you're getting results, you should probably think about, you know, giving them a gift or something if they're doing it out of their goodness of their heart, right? Because they believe in you. Absolutely, right? So, you know, you should always have a miscellaneous category as well. And just make sure you keep accurate notes. Okay, questions? Hello, question. Yes, Mike.
I couldn't find the button, so I raised my hand the old-fashioned way.
That's
So I have one struggle with that. I probably have more than one, but I'll only bring up one now. And that's when I do work on Fiverr, right? I find opportunities to do, but I have no information of, I mean, I know who they are. I guess I'll answer my own question. And I know how to find them, but I have no way to communicate with them outside of Fiverr, because Fiverr's got the rules of you can't do that, you know? So I
right.
guess my answer, I answered my own.
Right. So, but you still want to write their name down,
Mhm.
because then if all of a sudden you get this random audition from someone
Yeah.
and they go and you go, oh yeah, oh gosh, right? So then, because, you know, I mean, if you're like me, you're going to forget their name even if you know it.
Yeah.
So just
And
at least write it down.
and it applies to everywhere, because even like I still book a lot of work on Backstage, and a lot of times I know their name, but that's all I have because you're using a Backstage email address. So I think it applies to all the sites where you don't actually get real information. The hard part of that is replying back or reaching out to somebody via Backstage, because that's the only way you know how you can at the moment for some of them. You know what I mean?
Right, right. And you know, sometimes, I mean, sometimes you can look them up and see if you can find any
Yeah.
information on him.
Yep.
I mean, if
True.
they've done a fair amount of work that's um theatrical, then you know, you might be able to find them on
Yeah.
IMDb
True.
Pro.
I forgot. I do that too. You're right.
Yeah. You know, and but yeah, I know. It's like you know, I always, there's a funny story where I had an audition for for a commercial, right? And I used to be really good about writing down what I wore, you know, so you would remember if you got called back, right? But I got lazy with that, right? And I had to meet with an actor, and so I had my Zoom on. I wasn't looking at the Zoom, but I had my Zoom on when I was talking to them driving into the city. It's when I lived in Ventura, California, and I was driving to LA. And I, you know, I did that anyway. And then like a month later, I got a call back for this commercial and I'm like, holy shit, what did I wear? And then I remembered that I had been on Zoom. So I went to the Zoom recordings and I found it and I was like, oh, that's what I had on. So thank God the Zoom recording saved me. So it's also like, really helpful to write down when you have an audition and what you wore, and how it went. And, because it can help. A lot of times actors will say to me, they'll say to me, well, I've been getting all these submissions and I've been doing all these submissions and I've been getting auditions and I'm getting nothing. And I'd be like, okay, what are the numbers? That's the first thing I'm always going to ask you. What are the numbers? What I mean by that is, how many auditions have you had? Have you had any callbacks? And how many times have you reached out? Have you had any responses? Because when we put it in our brain, so James and I were doing one of our webinars one time, and one of our old clients was on there and he was complaining about it. So I said, what are the numbers? And he came back at me with the numbers and I was like, oh, that's good. He's like, yeah. So in his head, he had decided that he wasn't getting a good conversion rate. But the truth was he was converting at 20%, which in sales is really good. So that means if you send out 100 things, right, and 20 people get back to you or whatever, I mean, if you're converting at that rate, great. If you have 100 auditions and you get 20 callbacks, that's awesome, right? So, but often like what happens is we make up a story about how nothing is happening. Okay. All right. Yes, Erin.
Hi, I'm on my fire escape because it's loud in my house right now. But yeah, so I was wondering about my casting type. I put some stuff in the Facebook just like 30 minutes before this call, but I noticed that I play a lot of characters that like have some sort of secret, whether they start out as a good person and they end up evil, or like they end up like being a bully, but they end up, having a crush on, the person who gets bullied all the time. I don't know. I have like, honestly, I'm a very like malleable actor and I get cast in a lot of totally different things. So yeah, I don't know. You could read better. I better explain it on the Facebook, but I don't know. I just was wondering if there's a way to like boil that down into something more concise, even if you just like type that in the Facebook, but
okay. First of all, when you said I'm a very malleable actor, I'm like, aren't we all?
I know, like everyone is, right?
Right. But if you're not getting cast all of the time in the roles that you want to get cast in high-end roles that you're getting paid for,
yeah.
Are you getting those?
No. I mean, usually, yeah. I mean, when I was in school, like
Even
they would
if
always
you're getting a lot of co-stars, if you're getting a lot of co-stars, the way to get to guest star is to get really clear about what you're selling.
Okay.
Because if you're just getting a random bunch of co-stars, it's because you're not clear about what you're selling.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a part of it because I got cast in totally different things from each other, especially in theater. But usually I get cast as like a character for theater, like definitely, even though like, yeah, like definitely like character types, like,
Okay, but I'll bet you if
yeah.
if I taught you how to look really deep, there's a through line. I'll bet money there's a through line.
Okay.
You're just not seeing it. I mean, it could be the girl that keeps secrets. That's one, but I'll bet you there's a through line. And I got to tell you that every single actor that I work with that's been a series regular or has been walking the red carpet and been in Oscar movies, every single one of them is very specific.
Okay.
They don't get there if they're not. Every single one of them. right? I remember Alexander said to me once, he was a series regular on The Americans, House of Cards, right? He came and did a panel for me, and he said, you know, Valerie, he's Russian. He said, Valerie, I figured this out. He goes, I figured if I want to become even a bigger star, I have to be one thing. He goes, because I see like Matt Damon, I see like Brad Pitt, I see all these people, and he's like, they're one thing. And I go, he goes, and I think that's what I have to do if I want to get one thing. And, you know, he really is like one thing. He's like the Russian mean guy, but like, right. But he was really clear with me. He was clear about that. And he already had been a series regular. But if I look at every one of my clients, that is like, even Laura Bofill, who I woke up to this morning to a very big, you know, recurring guest star audition that she has for a sitcom, and it was perfect for her. And I feel like one thing about her is that as I've worked with her over the years, and she has a ton of TV credits now, as I've worked with her over the years, what I've seen is this annoying little flat, kind of like gonna tell you that you're fat with no expression on their face. This annoying little person has grown out of that. When I first met her in 2017, Erin, she told me that no one had ever told her she was funny. And now she's auditioning for like series regulars on sitcoms and reoccurring guest stars on sitcoms, playing this one little annoying, you know, blank face person. And that's really come out of what she's gotten auditioned for and what she's gotten better at. And I've seen that, oh, you know, it, like when I first started working with Angela Yeo's Chinese. She was playing every doctor role you can imagine, because that's what they'll do with an Asian person, is they'll put you in the role of the doctor over and over. And she didn't want to do that. She was a better actor than that. So she started to get defined, and then she started to get cast as these this really quirky, troubled person that had a deep dark secret that sort of kept it hidden. Like, it started to get defined as she moved to the red carpet for the movie She Said, right? And so I've watched thousands of actors, like I've watched the people that I've worked with. That's what happens. If you want to get to the top of the mountain, you have to give in to getting defined. And it's almost like it will happen automatically a little bit, but you have, but
There's
like
a casting call for
Angela,
Susan Phil.
like with
Oh,
Angela, she
Uh-oh.
had to make
Shit, we
Angela
forgot we
had
need
to
an-
make a definitive decision that she did not want to play the doctor and the scientist role over and over again. So like when you're doing a lot of co-stars, if you get to co-star level, a lot of people get stuck there, right? And they're like, yeah, but I, you know, because I'm playing like the waitress, the doctor, the lawyer, the, like, you know, with 2 lines here, 2 lines there, 2 lines there. And it's like, it doesn't make any sense. Well, co-stars don't really have a lot of weight in them, right? And so in order to get up here to guest star and recurring and series regular and leads in movies, that you've got to like really start to define that. And I know there's something in there, right? So are there any roles and plays that you've done that are well known, or are they all like original plays?
Yeah. Do you know Cripple of Inishmaan? Or I played the like bully one who ends up like falling in love with Cripple Billy.
Oh wow, there's an
Okay,
actress
okay.
from LA, and she's
Okay, all right. What else?
And Dance Nation. Do you know that one by Claire Barron? Okay, well, I'll just explain briefly, but it's like it's like all adults, but we play 13-year-old ballet dancers.
Uh-huh.
And I had like this 13-minute monologue about like just realizing, oh, I'm really pretty and I'm really funny and I'm also really smart and like the king of the world and I'm gonna be president. And I ended up like cursing out the audience for 13 minutes, and it was hilarious and like also kind of scary at points. but like just something that you wouldn't expect.
Okay, so
What
what
else?
I hear is like a little bit of bossy, headstrong,
Yeah,
the leader,
yeah.
you know, did you get the build your brand thing?
Oh no, I didn't get to look at
Okay,
that.
you need to download that
Okay.
because so what I want you to do is take these words like bossy, headstrong, leader, um, um, you use the word bully, but I think that you have more of an elegance than bully is my guess, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe conniving, right? Like look at the words, write down as many adjectives as you can, and then take those adjectives to the thesaurus and see if there's better adjectives. And then maybe when that whole exercise is done, we lead you through that in the book. Then you take a pen and you start marking them out, and then you come up with like, okay, these are the 4 best adjectives to describe me, like in all the roles I've done. So see if you can, because like there's similarities in what you just told me about those 2 roles. Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So keep looking for the similarities because what you're probably doing is a little bit judging the outside. And what we're looking for is the inside, right? We're
Yeah.
looking for the essence of Aaron that shows up in these roles.
Yeah. I feel like another thing that comes up is like playing someone who's like really smart a lot of times, or like someone who like schemes something, or yeah, I don't know, just someone who has a side that you don't expect a lot of the time. Cause yeah, I don't
Okay.
know.
So
I've
you
also,
just said scheme, smart, surprising. Write
yeah,
those down, right?
okay.
Again, start collecting these words, right? And then take them to the thesaurus, which they'll double them then, right? And then go through with a pen and start, and then narrow it down. Like narrow it down to 5 to 3 words that you think are the best description. So
Yeah.
do the work, because once you do that and you start to narrow it down, that's what, like when I work with someone on their brand, I have them do a whole bunch of shit. And then together we narrow it down and we narrow it down and we narrow it down. Right. And till we feel like, oh, this is good. And we might sit with that for, a year or even sometimes 2 years. And then something else comes up and we're like, oh, that's even better. Let's use that now. Right. So it's like like just do the work right now, which is go do that build your brand workbook. It'll help you.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. You're welcome. Who else has a question? Anyone? Yes, Helene.
So, I don't have a question. I don't, and you can take what I wanted to share actually, basically, Valerie, is sometimes when I have to explain to people also about casting, what I have found as even as an actor, and this is just my wording and you can correct or add to it or delete.
Yeah.
I call 2 kinds of casting. One is a no-brainer and one is the stretch. And if you do look at big stars, I always tell people when Donald Sutherland started out, he's 6'6". He actually, I think, is better looking now. He had a hangdog look, and he got, all these roles that sort of people teased him a lot. He started with I don't know if he started with Animal House, but that's when I first saw him. And even in MASH, he's kind of playing the jokester. He's playing the this. Blah, blah, blah. And then when you saw him in Ordinary People, 15 years later, I think where he got a reputation, then Robert Redford probably saw something under the humor.
Yeah.
And then he started playing mean people.
Yeah.
So it just because Erin and I think she's adorable. I wrote to her going, oh my God, if you need a young grandma, I'm in. But I think I know what you're saying. We've all played all roles, but as I said, the easy casting, like for me, it's comedy. But I have a couple clips of my Actors Access that are more thoughtful and serious. So
Mm.
I will get called in for those roles too. But what Valerie's talking about in 2 seconds, what do we see when we look at you?
Yeah.
And as I said, correct me, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I know it's frustrating. In the beginning, I had trouble with it. I can see a lot of my friends still do. And yeah, and thank God I was coaching with Scott, and I had pushed back my comedy, thinking, well, I have to be serious now, you know.
Mhm.
And the first thing he said to me, he goes, Helene, you're funny. So I changed my reel. I'm focusing on the funny stuff because I figure there's enough serious people out there who can do the hard thing. And not that I couldn't, but they're built for it. There's some, you know, some people you look at and you're like, oh yeah, they're the cheat, they're the this. And
Yeah.
it doesn't mean I can't be like Fran Lebowitz will be a judge. But I'm like, I'm not going to push that area when I have this. So I
Yeah.
think that's what Valerie, you know, I just wanted to say.
Yeah. I mean,
Not that you didn't explain it well, but
no, it's good. It's
Yeah,
always good to
yeah.
hear it from someone else. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like when you talk to Scott and Scott describes it in a different way, in his own way.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Helene.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it is really important to know how to describe your product and what you do better than everyone else. I mean, but people aren't buying versatility. When you
Mhm.
put out a casting,
Mhm.
when you put out a casting notice, it doesn't say I need a versatile actor. Does it, Helene? No.
No, unless it's a specific play, like
Yeah, that
Voices Off. I was saying, you know what I look at when I see Erin? I see Lauren Ambrose. She has a lot of her qualities.
oh, Lauren Ambrose. Yes.
And now she started, you know, it was again, she had a small part in and Out,
Mhm.
and a couple other things. And then there was another, she did the teenager thing. And then she got this multifaceted role in 6 Feet Under.
Yeah.
And then I saw her do an amazing Juliet at the Public.
Yeah.
And that's where I see you too. It was great. It was just a different, not this kind of Juliet where she, you know, but she's got the oomph and she has the red curly hair. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to share that because I believe in you.
And Helene wants to play your grandmother.
That's right. I'm playing the young grandma.
I would love that, Helene. Like, we
Okay,
have
we're
to
just
talk
we're
more.
manifesting. I just want to share one little thing about manifesting, and it's funny. I didn't want to attend this one event at the last minute because I was busy. So I was going to do the Acceptable Lie. I'm sorry, I have to prepare for a self-tape.
Mm-hmm.
And then before I could even write it, I actually did get a self-tape request from my agent, and it is so juicy. Talk about on brand. So I just, you know, sometimes the universe is listening even when you don't call it. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you.
That was amusing.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hey, Susanna.
Oh, hello, everybody. Hi,
Hello.
everybody. Loving the course. Thank you so much. It's really fantastic. And I enjoyed doing the exercise. And I forgot to mention that lots of people, even at the actors' events or at castings, they say that I look like Olivia Colman.
Yeah.
And yeah, so and also with my lovely bow, I love this bow. Lots of children and parents sometimes they say, oh wow, this lady looks like Snow White, you know, or we are seeing Snow White, and it's so great. So I wasn't quite sure how I could sort of use that in the branding, because obviously I'm such a giggler. I make people laugh a lot, and then I get some serious roles, more the sort of nurses, receptionists, and villains, and you know, struggling people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for the dramas, so
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how to
Yeah.
go about that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that you do the work in the branding document because that will really
Yeah.
help you to do that work and to narrow that down. And yeah, I mean, sometimes, we have, obviously, if you're selling to comedic people and, um, comedy casting directors and producers and things like that, you're not going to sell, you're going to put your product out there that matches what they're buying, right?
Mhm.
So you can have more than one product in your store, right? The
Right.
brand is really about naming the store overall, like the essence of the store. That's the way I think of it. And then within the store, you have products, right? Like
Mhm.
you have products. So, right, like if you are, like the adorable bully, I mean, I have, the nosy next door neighbor product, which I have, pictures that match that and clips that match that, that I can go sell that to people that are going to buy that, as opposed to, I'm not going to go sell my mean, racist, crazy woman to Disney because they're not going to buy that. Right.
Right, I
So
see.
you can
Mhm.
have different products, but remember what I said about a confused mind doesn't buy.
Mhm.
If I go and tell you all of the products I have right now, what happens is people get confused by that, right? People get confused by that. When like they'll tell you that in any business course, that like, if you're selling more than one product on the front page of a website, right, and people don't know what to do, you have to give your customers, you have to say, take this, turn to your right, go do that. Like if you don't give people clear direction, they're not going to take it. Right? If you tell them I do this, right? It's like it just is like, okay, right? I'm not looking for this. So I'll give you an example, Susanna. So there was a guy
Mhm.
that developed a bug spray. And he was so excited because the bug spray killed every bug. So he spent millions of dollars to package this bug spray, put it on the aisles of the grocery store. No one bought it. And the reason no one bought it is because when I'm going to the store to buy a bug spray, I'm going to kill a certain bug. I don't want a bug spray that kills all bugs. I want a bug spray that kills ants. I want a bug spray that kills cockroaches. And if I see a bug spray that kills all bugs, that's not the one I want. I want one that kills a specific bug. And your mind tells you if this bug spray kills a specific bug, it's going to be better than the one that kills all bugs. Right?
Right, excellent. Yes, that's
Yeah.
brilliant.
So you can have some different products. I'm not saying that you can't have different products. It's
Mhm.
just that when if you're writing a casting director or a director that maybe does a lot of different things, you've got to have a clear-cut way of talking about yourself that doesn't confuse
Mhm.
them. Right? So it could be, I mean, you definitely have major quirk, weirdness, kind of kookiness about you, which Olivia Colman has even in drama.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes,
Right?
that's right. Yeah.
So look for the through line because you can have comedy and drama. And
Yes.
I doubt that you're going to even do something that's dramatic that doesn't have a spark of that little bit of kooky thing that you have going on.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, yes.
Okay.
We've just
So that's the thing to shine on your first entry.
Mhm.
Because like if I'm pitching to someone, I'm not going to pitch like everything, right? Like, think about it. Like when you go to shopping, usually it's one thing in a window that sparks your interest, that brings you into the store. And then they have a whole bunch of shit in there. Right? But You have to get people to come into your store before you can sell them your products.
I
Right?
get it.
If
Yes.
they're just passing
Mhm.
the window and you're like, ba, 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 that they're gonna be like, okay, like, right? It doesn't, it's like, remember, a confused mind does not buy. Right?
Excellent.
So they
Mhm.
call it in business, they call it funnel, right? So I get you in with one thing, and then I show you this thing, and then I show you this thing, and then I show you that thing, and then, right? Like for instance, I did Audrey in As You Like It at Delaware Theater Company, right? Which
Mhm.
is a part that I can do in my sleep. Dumb, sexy, funny, right? That's a part I can do in my sleep, right? Like I can do her, right? So I got cast as that because that's what that's my big thing, as Helene was talking about. That's the thing that I can do in my sleep,
Mhm.
right? So I got cast as that. And then once I was cast as that, and the cast got to know me, there was one of the cast members that was the associate artistic director of the theater. Then a year later, I got a direct offer for a lead in a play that if I had just been called in, I probably wouldn't have been called in for that. But because
Mhm.
he got to know me as an actor, he saw what else I could do because he began to see me 360. And in 1 second, you can't show anyone your entire 360.
Right. Got it. Got
Right?
it.
And then
Mhm.
I got the direct offer. I didn't even have to audition for that role. Oh, and in between that, they called me in for a drama because the casting director knew the 360 of me. So she called me in for a drama, and then they were like, they didn't cast me in that, but they saw what I could do.
Mhm.
And along with those two things was what got me that play. Okay.
Oh, excellent. Thank you so
You're
much. That's
welcome.
brilliant. Yes, thank you
Yeah.
very much. And
Yeah, go
we
ahead.
saw the last movie, the newest movie of Olivia Colman yesterday. Actually, if anyone would really recommend it. It's a comedy, but really dark as well. The white little letters, it's really amazing. Yes, very very British movie, but
I love
really
that. I love her.
fantastic.
I
Yeah.
love her. Thank you,
Yes.
Susanna.
Cheers. Thank you.
Hey, Siobhan.
Hello, Valerie. Hi. So I just want to get it clear in my head because I think sometimes I hear branding and I think typecasting, and I want to understand whether I'm getting it right. So typecasting is more of what people may see you as, but branding is not just what people may see you as, but also what you want to pitch yourself as. Is that the difference?
No, I mean, that's like splitting hairs a little bit. Forget typecasting. Don't worry about typecasting. Like, all casting is typecasting.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, for some reason they got a bad name, but that's what casting is. They're looking
Okay.
for a certain type. That's what casting is. They're not
Yeah.
just, right? Like, they're, looking for a young Black girl,
Mm.
looking for a middle-aged funny fat woman, right? Like, they do that. They type people. That's what it is.
I suppose
Right.
I suppose there's also that typecasting, for example, like I was in a play and I couldn't get out of the typecasting of being the angry Black female, and that's where I get a bit worried about this branding idea because I'm like, I don't want to
Okay.
end up in
So
that
if
box.
people are seeing you as that, if people are
It was just one
casting,
person.
well, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Right. We have to stop using these small little plays and small little indie things as no offense, but like, you want to be booking big things. So
Mm.
I'm trying to get you to play in the big leagues,
Yeah.
right? And so, like, going down to amateur to semi professional stuff down here is like, it's like, yeah, okay, there's a reason it's down there.
Okay.
Right. Like, it's down there because that's where it plays.
Okay.
Right. I mean, if you want to play in the big leagues, you got to step up.
Mhm.
Right. So be careful of comparing that, because often someone will say, well, this guy, and it's like, well, he was a film student.
Yeah.
I used to teach at a film school for 13 years. They don't know fuck what they're talking about. Right? They're students, like they're just beginning. Like,
Yeah.
don't worry about like, oh, well, he said, well, who the fuck cares? Right? Like it doesn't matter. Right. So so the angry black girl, well, okay, right. So I'm sure you're more than that, right? Like, and you don't seem angry at all to me. You seem kind of cheery to me, right? Like, you seem kind of like you would play more the lighthearted person. Right. And so I feel like that's what I see.
Yeah.
That the lightheartedness. I mean, I've worked with some girls that play angry black girl, probably. Yeah. Right. So, you know, and angry is a very general term. Like, are they proud? Are they, do they have a chip on their shoulder? I mean, get more specific than angry always, like when you're doing your own branding, right? You want to get more specific than angry, because angry is very general, like sad is very general, right? Happy is general, funny is general. You want to find a better adjective than that. You want to find like, I'm ballsy, which is powerful and funny. Right? Ballsy is very specifically picked. Right? Like quirky is way overused. So peculiar is interesting.
Yeah.
Right? Offbeat is more interesting than quirky. Quirky's way overused. Right? So get to the essence of that, and don't worry about all the typing. Just focus on your store and what you want to sell. Because if you sell it enough and long enough, people will buy it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Right. Like, so for instance, if we take Angela Yo as an example, she's Chinese. So she was getting cast as a doctor and a scientist over and over and over again. Right. That's typecasting. A Chinese person is smart. That's what you're talking about, right? A black girl's angry, right? A Chinese woman is smart. So therefore, we're going to cast a Chinese person in this doctor. She didn't want to do that the rest of her career, right? So she started to figure out what she wanted to do and what she could do really well, and define what she was putting out there. And then she started getting hired as that. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Worry about your store. Don't worry about them.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And just one question. I think it was actually it may have been fully answered by Susanna's answer as well. Say later on in your career, my career, I say, okay, that store is looking nice. I'm really enjoying that store, but I want to offer a new product. I've seen this role, and actually I think I can play this role, but it's not
Absolutely.
actually mine. You can just do that. Okay.
Yeah, you can always invent a new product.
Yeah.
Like, all of you can always say, hey, you know, I feel like I could play this kind of role. Like, for instance, if I decided tomorrow I wanted to win a Best Supporting Actress Oscar, right? I would go and get a new headshot. I'd get a new manager. I'd make a certain, I would develop this new woman that would be more likely hired and to win an Oscar. Like, I would develop the product in order to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
I think what you really brought up well, Siobhan, just now, and I hope everyone heard this, is you are in control of your store, you guys. And if your store is not bringing in money, it's because your store is a mess and you're not clear on what you're selling, and you're waiting. A lot of you are waiting for someone else to open your store and sell your products. It's your store, right? So get really clear about it's your store. What do you want to sell? What do you want to get hired as? And design that and go out and sell that. Right? And so then it becomes more clear, because it's you're in control, not someone else, right? Good. Thank you,
Thank
Siobhan.
you.
Hello, Isa. How are you?
Hi, Valerie. I'm doing well. Finally, I get to join you guys live. Yeah, I've been having issues joining the Zooms, but yeah, I've been following on YouTube. Great stuff. So my question comes in. As you know, I'm currently doing my best to network and really introduce myself to those like sci-fi fantasy creators, just because I find myself in those worlds. The only thing, I blame myself being a Virgo. I overanalyze too much, and like,
Yeah, no shit, really, Issa?
yes, I do. I
Okay.
do. And I have like a list of people, and I believe I even sent it to you. And just like I don't even know who to start with, where to go, just because I feel like I remember the first time I started, the first time I met you, I had one particular project in mind, and that was the Hunger Games, and I pitched to those specific people. And now I
Yeah.
have people overall that I really admire their work, like a few producers, a showrunner of The Witcher, like executive producer of Game of Thrones, a few like the Duffer Brothers from Stranger Things, and it just I have like all these people, and I don't know who to reach out to first and what to do. Even though, and I want to target like a few one group at a time, just because it's easier. But at the same time, I don't want to limit myself, and I feel maybe a few people could have the same question if they
Yeah.
feel overwhelmed. Like, okay, I have this
Yeah.
huge list of
So
people.
how do you, okay, so Issa, how do you eat an elephant? Do you know the answer to that?
I think-
One bite at a time. Right? You choose what bite you want to take. Just make a choice, because what you're doing is you're like standing at the bottom of the mountain, and you're not quite at the bottom of the mountain. You've already been booking some things, but you're standing down here and you go, I want to get there. Oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed because I want to get there. Where do I go next? Where do I go next? Just look for the next foothold. Right? So, okay. So, I would love to do, I heard about the hedge night. You and I talked about the hedge night, right? So let's start there. Let's just start there, right? Who can I reach out about that? Who can I reach out about that? And you don't need to tackle one at a time. You can tackle that this week, and then you can tackle this week, right? Next week, right? Right? But just go and take a bite. Don't like the standing. Oh yeah, I mean, trust me. Look, there's this old Hopi Indian saying that we're all in the river, right? And the life is the middle of the river where the rapids are, right? You have to let go of the side of the river and be in the river and flow. Most people live their life holding on to the riverbank. They never let go, because they're like, oh my God, I don't know where to start, how to start, where do I go? It's so overwhelming. Just fucking let go and just do one thing, and then do the next thing, right? Have you ever had to clean a whole house, like, or unpack a whole house, or walked into a whole freaking mess, and you're like, how do we get through it? We start over here in this corner, and then we do this, and then we do that, and then we do this. Or if you've ever hiked up a mountain, right? And then you look back down, you're like, oh my God, I came that far. How I didn't even know how to. So one step at a time, right? Just choose something, right? And yes, I will get to your email, I promise. Okay. It's just like, this is the week of the event. Sunday's the event. There's a lot, but I will definitely get to your
Awesome. Thank you for that, Valerie. I
Thank you, Issa.
appreciate it. Was the day you told me to fucking let go. I appreciate it.
All right, you're welcome, Issa. Okay, one last one, Sandra, and then I got to go. I got to client.
Hey Val, I love your words of wisdom. You know, that's a quote from City Slickers. Remember Jack Palance when he said
Yeah,
just
yeah.
one thing? Remember that?
Yeah.
My question is, how often do you think we should revamp our brand? I mean, is it
I don't
every 10 years or something?
revamp it.
Yeah,
and-
like revamp like how long have you been the adorable bully? Can you be the adorable bully all your life, or
I've been it my whole life.
okay.
I've been it my whole life. Now, instead of using the word revamp, let's think of like, how often should I sharpen the pencil?
Okay.
Okay, so obviously I've been the adorable bully my whole life. Like, I played the fairy with one wing. I played Mary Tilford. I played Mercy Lewis. I played all these adorable bullies growing up, right? Over and over and over again on some level, they were the same person in a Phoebe and As You Like It. You know, I played her several times, right? I played that person on some level all of the time. But where we're sharpening our pencil is sometimes we're getting more definitive in our language. Where every 3 to 5 years we're getting new headshots. We're getting new clips for our reel. We're finding better ways of talking about our product. But the one thing that we have to be really, really careful of is throwing the baby out with the bathwater, because actors are very guilty of that, right? Actors will what actors will do is actors will like set a resolution in January that they're going to get to their acting career this year, right? I'm going to finally do it this year. So it's like taking that board game off the shelf that you take off every Christmas and play with your family, and then it stays on that shelf until next year. So you take off your acting career, you blow off the smoke, the dust, and you play it for a month. And then it doesn't happen as fast as you want it to. So you pack it back up and you do it. So what happens is, I see this a lot, that I'll see actors that I've watched for years not getting anywhere in their career. And the reason they're not getting anywhere in their career is because they have their one foot nailed down and they're doing a circle like this, right? So they're taking tons of action. They're the wrong action. And they're not undoing this foot. And so what do I mean by that? So every year they're like, oh, I'm going to get new headshots and I'm going to get an agent. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Oh, I'm going to get headshots and get a new agent. So it's like they're repeating the same mistake, expecting different results, right? Not realizing that they need to do something different, right? But in order to do something different, first of all, they have to let go of a lot of preconceived concepts about what they think they know about the acting business. And they have to make new decisions, and they have to change their mindset. But this is a groove. It's a groove. And it's sometimes, for a lot of you, it's very deep. So in order to create a new groove, you have to rehearse. You have to practice, right? And that's why we get stuck holding on to the riverbank for our entire lives, because we're not willing to do the work to hop over here, right? So because I see it all the time. I've seen it I've been doing this for, I've been an actress for a long time, but 25 years I've been helping actors. And oh my God, this is it. It's like a broken record, right? And so we have to just be careful of oh, okay, I'm going to get, if what you've been doing over and over again isn't working, then you have to do something completely new if you want different results.
Definition of insanity.
It is the definition of insanity. Repeating the same mistake, expecting different results. Everyone in here does it on some level in their life. Whether it's around money, food, relationships, your acting career, your hopes and dreams, working out, right? Your weight, right? Whatever it is. Like there's somewhere in your life that you go, I'm here again. How did I get here again? Right? We all have that, right? And so how do you get out of that, right? There's a great book that I recommend for all of you. It's called The Big Leap. It's by Gay Hendricks, right? And it talks about that. It's like, what happens is we hit our upper limit, right? We all have a ceiling with things, right? So we hit the upper limit and we can't go beyond that, right? We stop ourselves, we sabotage ourselves. What is that thing that makes us go, right? Go beyond that thing. And it's perseverance, right? It's perseverance. It's that thing that goes, I'm really going to do it this time. I'm going to work out. I'm going to work out. And then I wake up and my body's sore and I don't feel like it and I want to stay in bed. And then I stop. And then I don't go the next day. And then I don't go the next day. And then I don't go the next day. And then we're back to where we want. So in order to pass this thing, we have to do something differently. We have to push past it. Right. And I think it's like, you know, we as humans like to be comfortable, and doing and getting what you want in your life is not comfortable. You're gonna be uncomfortable. It's gonna hurt. You're gonna feel like shit sometimes, but that's how you get what you want, right? And so that's why you have to deal with this all of the time, all of the time. Okay. Yeah. Oh, thank you for posting that, Carol. I really appreciate that. Thank
It's
you.
it's
all-
cheaper on Abe Books though.
What?
It's less expensive on Abe Books than Amazon. Abe Books.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, great. Do your homework, y'all. I'll see you tomorrow and for the last day. Okay, bye everyone. See you tomorrow. Thanks.